Hi, so today I wanted to make a different type of video. I realized that I never really talked about who I am or where I come from, so I wanted to give a kind of context about myself in this YouTube channel. So my idea was to talk about a big part of my life in the last maybe 15 years, and this is all about my story moving in Canada from Chile. So I was born and raised in Chile in South America, and we speak Spanish over there, so there you have my accent. So when I was 18 years old, I met my now husband on this website called MySpace. We started to chat almost every day for like 6 months, and he asked me if I would agree for him to come to visit me in Chile, and so we could meet in real life. At the time, I was starting my fashion design degree. I was a full-time student and I was living with my parents. So I talked to my mother. I used to talk to her about him, that I was chatting with him, that he was from Canada. You know, she was knowing about this guy. When I told her about him wanting to come to visit me in Chile, she was like, yeah, why not? I think that was, I could say, the main step for all this story. So after 6 months, he traveled to Chile for the first time and we decided to be together. So for the next 3 years, he traveled once a year while I was finishing my studies. So when I finished my degree, after 4 years, I traveled to Canada for the first time. I met his parents and we decided to get married. The goal with this was that I could move with him in Canada so we could live together here. And for this, we was needing to be married. We started to look about the immigration process for doing that. We realized that it was not as easy as we was thinking. It's not that it's very hard, it's just a very long and complex process. We learned that there was 2 ways to apply for a permanent residence while I was within Canada, but this was taking longer, kind of the double of time that it could take if I was coming back in my home country. So I could have stayed with him after we got married and started our process, but I could not have the right to work or to study, even have a healthcare, anything. So we was thinking this might take up to 4 or 5 years and I could have to live 5 years doing nothing useful of my life. So we was thinking, okay, we will make this last long step. We decided that I will come back to my home country and we will start the sponsorship process being apart. This was a very, very hard time in my life because I was not doing well with my professional life. I realized that my friends were not there anymore for me. I was feeling very alone. The only support I had was my family at the time. It was a very hard time making this immigration process. It was complex. We did it all by ourselves. We didn't pay an immigration lawyer or anything because this can cost so expensive. At the end, the last word is going to be from the government, so even if you pay a lawyer to make all this long process of papers and documents and, you know, filling formularies and all this, at the end the answer can be a no if the government wanted so. For us to pay thousands of dollars was not possible. Basically, we didn't have this money, so we did it all by ourselves, and it took me about 1 year to fill and to have all of the papers complete. So in this case, we have to prove that our relationship was real to the government because there is so many frauds about this subject? Well, the thing is that we started this process and I was needing to prove with pictures, receipt, plane tickets, absolutely everything that could be possible to prove that we used to be together during all those 3-4 years, and that he used to meet my family and that I used to know his family and his friends and so on. So we used to have so many pictures, so many chat logs. It was crazy. It was a so long process. It was very hard because I was away from my husband for almost 2 years that it took all this waiting time. When I finished to feel everything, I was needing to tell my story. I was needing to write my story from the day one. It was a long story. It was so much to be said. And when I finished to get all my documents, I sent my application. It took me about 2 years to get my answer. And I still remember that afternoon when I was watching TV and I got this call from the Canadian government and I was accepted, that my permanent residence was accepted. And I still remember that moment. I was feeling so happy and sad at the same time because I was leaving my family and my home country. When I got my answer, I was ready to move to come to live in Canada in 2014. So when I arrived here, my husband lives in French Canada, so I was needing to learn French. At the moment I was talking and communicating with him in English. My English is, as you can tell, not perfect. His English is not perfect as well because he was born and raised in French. Here people only speak French, so to learn French was crucial for my adaptation living here. Once I moved here, I quickly realized that all of those ideas I used to have about moving here were not as I was thinking. In my head, I was thinking that moving to another country with another language where absolutely nobody knows me, I would become like a different person suddenly. Like my life could be so much different from what it used to be back in Chile. And quickly I realized that it's not about the place you live, but about who I am and how I live my life and my personality. I realized that people were not as friendly as I was thinking. I realized that the language was a huge barrier. People was not patient with me. This makes me feel very bad with myself because I was thinking, oh, people doesn't like me. I was thinking that something is wrong with me because what I'm doing, that they are so cold and they are not friendly. At first I was thinking it was just a language problem, kind of like I don't speak French, so probably this is why they don't, they was trying to speak some English with me, but you know, people sometimes are not patient and they doesn't care to adapt to you. It's like you have to adapt to them, which is normal. I'm the one who is moving in their country. In the beginning, it was so hard for me to realize the way how people was here. I started to feel very insecure and my anxiety started to turn very bad. It was at the point that the first year I moved here, I did nothing of my life. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to do things by myself. I was depending on my husband for absolutely everything. I was turning into someone that was not useful in the society. You know what I mean? I took 2 years of French class. Even after that, I was not ready. I realized that even though I was speaking some French, I could not understand the people. I started to feel extremely bad about myself because I was not capable of understanding people. Clearly I was having an accent like I do with English. People was like making me repeat, and I don't think I have a so bad accent in French, but you know, I don't speak like someone from here. It's normal. It was a big road about the language, and also at the same time I realized that making friends was not really possible for me here. I met so much people, you know, they meet local people and they make friends with. I never had this chance to meet someone from here and feel like we had this friendship click. And I don't know, I was starting to think it's maybe me the problem. So after 2 years, I finished my French class and I was so scared to start to work because of my level of French. So I decided to get a job cleaning rooms in a hotel, and I worked there for 1 year. I was not needing a very high level of French. During that year, I learned a lot and I ameliorated a bit my French. So at that time, I found this job in a souvenir shop. While I was working there, I opened an Etsy shop and I started to sell clothes made by myself so I could live from my Etsy shop. But 5 years passed and this dream never came. My Etsy shop was a big fail, basically. I was not selling enough. I realized that fabrics and sewing supplies in Canada are very expensive and very hard to find. After the pandemic, I realized that I was not making money with that and I had to shut down my shop. It's not completely closed. I put it in vacation mode. I just decided to stop this for a while, even though I don't think I will stop it forever. I pretend to reopen it one day. For now, I was feeling just so disappointed that my dreams was not really happening. So all of this was playing so much on my mental health, having no friends, having no connection with anybody, feeling like I was a weirdo, like I was feeling like I didn't belong here, and this was making me feel very, very bad, and my anxiety was turning out of control more and more. And so during the time I was working at that souvenir shop, I ameliorated my French. I was feeling a bit more confident talking to people in French, but my professional life was not doing well, so I was like obsessing to have a change, and I was so scared that I would pass the rest of my life working in that souvenir shop, because what else I could do, you know what I mean? I was feeling lost, and even today I'm still feeling the same way. I was doing so bad that during the 2023 I started to have so bad anxiety. I started to have these episodes of dizziness, like vertigo, and I began to feel like I could not walk in the street because I was fearing to fall in the street and to hurt myself, or even a job. I was needing to climb stairs and I was so scared, and just to move my head around was making me feel dizzy, and I had to stop to work for a month. What happened is, while I was working in this place, I had like bad experience with some people that was working there. I realized that I trust the wrong person. There was like gossiping on my back. This started to make me feel extreme anxiety. I began to obsess, like I could not stop to think about this place and the people that was working there, and I was like, I don't want to see them, I don't want to see this. Like my social anxiety turned out of control. So this is when in 2024 I decided to just quit this place, and I was thinking that I was ready to move on. I was thinking the problem was this place. And then when I found a new job, I realized that I was still feeling bad with myself, and quickly realized that it's not the place, it's me. So about my immigration process, I don't know if you understand how it works, but when you move in a country in a long term, let's say, is basically you need to get your permanent residence. So this allowed me to work and to study and to live as anybody from here. But the only difference is that you cannot vote for any election. So this, as the name say it, is a permanent condition. So the only way you can lose this is by doing something illegal, except that you can live here for forever if you wish in that status. Clearly, my relation with my husband was going very well. I decided that I want to stay here for the rest of my life. For this, evidently, I need to get my citizenship. And this was another big step that I was so scared to make, because all my process was just so hard and bumpy. Like, there is people that sees immigration or moving to a new country as a process, as something way more light. But for me and for us with my husband, we read so much horror stories in the internet. There was so much emotional effort. You know, once I got here and I got used to the lifestyle from here and I learned all the good and bads, and then there is this last step that is the citizenship, and basically is where you can get your passport from Canada and you can finally vote for any election. And basically the conditions for this is you need to live a certain amount of days, that in total is about 5 years, inside the country, and while you declare your taxes. Of course, I had all of the conditions after 10 years living here, you know, so I was like, you know what, now is the time. And I was brave enough to study for that exam, and I passed it, and I was approved. And I got my online ceremony where, you know, you can be an official Canadian. For me, it was a huge step because all of this crazy process was finally finished. And now I have my passport and I can travel as a Canadian just like my husband. I don't know, it's just, for me, I never imagined ever to be Canadian. I feel very proud to just be part of this society. I mean, it was a big road and it was very hard to get used to people from here. It was hard to get used to the language, to the social codes. Even though my life here didn't turn out as I was thinking it could, I just realized that this is how I am and it's fine like this. You know, most of people, they move here or anywhere else, they make friends, they get a job, you know, they learn the language, and like in 1 or 2 years they are settled down. While for me it was just so long. It was so hard to love the place, to love the people, to love the fact that I don't have friends. Even my professional life, I'm working on this because this is one of the mainly reasons why I feel so anxious and the things that I have to work on. I learned to love it here and the weather, and you know, in the end it's just me and my husband, and we are both living together. We are both introverts. We go to cinema, we go to restaurants, we don't have kids, and we are very happy like this. I started to accept who I am, and that I am just a quiet person, that I'm just not very social. This is why I wanted to talk also about my story with you, because I think it's an uncommon story, I could say. I'm sure I'm not the only one, you know, I'm not a rare case, but probably I'm not the most popular type of cases about what it is to move in another country as an introvert. Anyway, so thank you for watching this video. For the next, I will just make normal vlogs. I don't love to make this type of chatty, long videos because I'm not that good at expressing myself. It's hard for me to find the right words. So I hope I was enough clear and that I didn't make too many English faults and all of this. So just bear with me. So yeah, I hope you are having a good time, and I wish you a Happy New Year, and take care. Bye.